The first chapter of a Himalayan ride isn't written on tarmac, it's written in the clouds. The descent into Bagdogra is your first real taste of the scale of this adventure. That's when you see it, the entire Himalayan range laid out on the horizon, and standing supreme, the guardian of these lands, Kanchenjunga. You might catch a glimpse of it from the flights, but we will ride around, landing here at this unique tri-junction of West Bengal, Sikkim, and Bihar. You feel the energy of a gateway. It's a bustling, chaotic place where everyone is just passing through. But for us, the best sight was waiting at the hotel. Our bikes having been transported ahead. This is the secret: strategic logistics. You trade days of exhausting highway riding for fresh energy and more time on the legendary roads you actually came for. So, day one was a reunion and a ritual. A reunion with our steeds and the familiar ritual of pre-ride checks. We went to sleep that night, not tired from the road, but buzzing for it. The mountain we saw from the plain was now calling from the ground. And the next morning we answered. But the Himalayas decided to test us immediately. The air was thick, a persistent drizzle misted our visors, turning the world into a steam bath. The Teesta River was in a furious roaring mood beside us, and news of landslides ahead had us gripping the bars a little tighter. But on a trip like this, there's no turning back. The only way out is through. And then we crossed a threshold. A small checkpoint, and just like that, we were in Sikkim. It was instant. The humidity broke, replaced by cool, clean mist. The harsh jungle greenery transformed into lush, temperate forests. We could finally breathe. Our reward for the daunting ride was the Elgin Mount Pandim, a meticulously restored heritage property that feels more like a grand historical Sikkimese home than a hotel. The legendary Kanchenjunga was hiding behind a wall of pure white fog, a promise deferred. But wrapped in the resort's warm hospitality, the exhaustion of the ride just melted away. We had earned our place here. The gentle hills were behind us. Tomorrow, the real climb to the peaks would begin. The Teesta River is the silver thread that stitches Sikkim together. In stretches, she's all grace. A turquoise ribbon flowing with a gentle, constant hum, carving valleys and nourishing every green thing in her path. She's the lifeline, the serene companion on your left as you climb, her presence a promise of life in these steep mountains. But cross a line of rainfall, and that promise turns into a warning. The Teesta, in fury, is a completely different beast. The turquoise vanishes, swallowed by a churning, thunderous grey. She swells with the rage of 1,000 mountain streams, throwing up a mist that coats the roads. Her roar drowns out your engine, a constant reminder that in these hills, water isn't just life, it's the primary architect, the undeniable force that can build a paradise one day and wash a road clean off the map the next. You don't just see the Teesta then, you feel her in your chest.
లోకేష్ లాకేష్ బాగుందా? కెప్టెన్, హౌ ఆర్ ద క్లౌడ్స్?
Lovely. Paradise.
యు ఆర్ ఇన్ ద క్లౌడ్స్ దిస్ టైమ్ వితౌట్ ఫ్లయింగ్.
Without flying. On ground.
పరిగెత్తున్నావు ఏంటి? కెమెరా ఫియరా ఏంటి నీకు?
Hey, babu.
దిస్ ఇస్ అ హెరిటేజ్ రిసార్ట్, ఎల్గిన్.
కాదు ఛార్జింగ్ తీసేసి అది ఎక్స్ట్రా అట్లే పెట్టేసిన. Beauty.
Waking up in Pelling is like opening a present, and on our first morning, the gift was right outside our window. The mist had parted, revealing Kanchenjunga in all its glory, bathed in the morning sun. This is the view that defines this quiet kingdom in the clouds. But Pelling's beauty isn't just passive. Our first ride was a short but sharp challenge, a climb to the towering Chenrezig statue. The inclines were deadly steep, the roads barely wider than our handlebars. It was a proper test of low-speed control and nerve. The statue itself, a serene giant overlooking the valleys, was worth the efforts. But as the crowds gathered, we knew it was time to move on. We had the mountains to ourselves again. And that's when Pelling truly revealed its magic. The roads that followed were a rider's dream. Flowing curves, perfect tarmac, and the occasional surprise, a waterfall right beside the road, or even crossing our path. The air was clean, the town was immaculate, and the warmth from the local people was genuine. There's a quiet pride here that's truly uplifting.
Yo, Captain. What's up, man?
Yo, what's up, nigga?
Yo, what's up?
What's up, nigga?
Crossing.
Before we settled in for the afternoon, we made one last ride out to Khecheopalri Lake. They call it the wish-fulfilling lake, a sacred mirror hidden in the forest. The silence there was profound, a world away from the roar of our bikes. It felt less like a sightseeing stop and more like a quiet conversation with the soul of this place. So, when we got back and the guys started joking about the tour being too easy, I just smiled. They had no idea what was waiting. This wasn't just a break, it was a necessary pause, a chance for our bodies to start a silent negotiation with the altitude that was coming. And all the while, the mountains were sending their own messages. News feeds were flashing with warnings, landslides, closed passes. Our carefully planned route was hanging in the balance. Whether we'd be riding our dream or watching it wash away, we'd only find out tomorrow. The road from Pelling to Gangtok promised to be a long one, a proper transit day covering over 100 kilometers of Himalayan curves. But what it didn't warn us about was how it would begin. Almost as soon as we left the serene outlook of our Pelling hotel, the paved road simply ended. It disintegrated into a rocky, rutted track, a jarring off-road baptism that shook the bikes and woke us up completely. This wasn't a detour. This was the mountains issuing a reminder. Progress here is never guaranteed, and comfort is a temporary guest. As we wrestled with the handlebars through that initial stretch, I thought about the kingdom we were riding across. Sikkim's history is a unique thread in the tapestry of the Himalayas. For over 3 centuries, it was a sovereign Buddhist kingdom, the Chogyal dynasty ruling from the palace in Gangtok, navigating a delicate position between the great empires of Tibet, Nepal, and British India. It was a realm of monasteries, trade routes, and fierce independence. That sense of a distinct, proud identity isn't just in the history books. You can feel it in the air, in the disciplined cleanliness of the towns, and in the quiet dignity of the people. That independent spirit wrote a new chapter in 2016, when Sikkim achieved something no other place on earth has. It became a 100% organic state. By law, every single farm, from the vast, manicured slopes of the Temi Tea estate we passed to the small, steep terraces clinging to the hillsides, grows without chemical pesticides or synthetic fertilizers. What we were riding through was a living experiment, a testament to a profound commitment to the land. The scent in the air was of wet earth and blooming cardamom, not of industry. This philosophy is inseparable from its economy. In a state with limited industry, this pristine, organic identity and the breathtaking landscapes that come with it are its greatest assets. Tourism isn't just a sector here, it's a vital lifeline, a symbiotic relationship where visitors come to witness the purity the state has fought to protect. Every homestay, every meal of local red rice and dalekosani chutney, every guided trek feeds back into preserving this very way of life. So after hours in the saddle navigating that beautiful, demanding terrain that sustains this unique world, our arrival in Gangtok felt like crossing a frontier. The dust of the rural trails was replaced by the orderly buzz of Sikkim's capital, and our home for the night, the Taj Guras, stood as an emblem of this modern chapter, a bastion of polished luxury perched on the hillside. Checking in, the warmth of the staff felt like a welcome, not just to a hotel, but to this contrast that defines Sikkim, the profound respect for ancient tradition and natural bounty seamlessly meeting contemporary comfort and ambition. We washed off the grime of the road, but not the sense of where we'd been. This luxury was a deep, rewarding breath, a pause in plush silence. But as we looked out from our windows over the twinkling lights of Gangtok, we knew it was just that, a pause, a temporary oasis. To the north, invisible in the dark, lay the roads that would test that organic resolve of both the land and ourselves. The real ascent was still ahead, Gangtok to Lachen. This was the turning point, the moment the tourist map ended and the expedition began. We were leaving Gangtok, the last echo of a familiar world, and pointing our handlebars due north into the remote, roadless spine of North Sikkim. This wasn't just a ride to another town, it was a migration to a higher, colder, and far more demanding altitude. With a stack of permits and permissions in hand, documents stamped and restamped, our route approved by half a dozen authorities, it felt official. It felt like the entire state of Sikkim, from the tourism office to the military checkpoints dotting the hills, knew that 6 boys on their beamers were coming. There was a strange comfort in that. Every time we rolled up to a barrier, a soldier would glance at our papers, look at the bikes caked in fresh mud, and give a knowing nod. We weren't just tourists anymore. We were a logged, tracked, and permitted entity moving through a sensitive frontier. Our little convoy of metal and men was on the radar. Mountains, as if acknowledging our formal entry, decided to test that paperwork immediately. The main highway, the national highway that was supposed to be our artery north, was gone, washed away in a section by landslides. A line of trucks sat idle, a testament to a blocked artery. But for us, on the bikes, a closed road isn't a stop sign. It's a dotted line on an adventure. We took the detours, and those unplanned ribbons of tarmac and gravel became the highlight of the day. They plunged us into landscapes the main road forgot, through silent rhododendron forests still dripping from the morning mist, past isolated hamlets where children stopped their games to watch the noisy procession of machines rumble by. This was where the boys got the adventure they'd been subtly craving since Pelling. It arrived not in sweeping vistas first, but in treacherous, tire-sucking slush. We hit sections where the road had simply dissolved into a river of mud.
Bro, ignition objection. Hi bro, how are you feeling?
Good, excited.
Was it your first fall
No. Twice in 2
on
days.
this trip?
Twice in 2 days.
నిన్న కూడా పడ్డది కదా బండి నిన్న పడ్డది సిగ్గుపడ బ్రో ఏ బ్రో సిగ్గుపడుతున్నావా నిన్ను అడిగే అవసరం లేదు Captain, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, bro.
How is the
I
ride?
need a drink.
Which drink?
Maza.
Yeah. Off-roading,
The Beamers, built for Bavarian curves, now danced and slithered, their engines growling in protest as we wrestled for control. Then came the washed-out stretches, where half the lane had vanished into the gorge below, leaving us to inch along the surviving edge, the roar of a river echoing from the void. This was pure, unscripted riding. It was exhausting, exhilarating, and it plastered us and the bikes in a uniform coat of mountain grime. The waterfalls we passed no longer felt like scenic stops. They felt like symbols of the raw, untamed power that sculpted this land and could, at any moment, reclaim these fragile roads we traveled on. We finally descended into the Yumthang Valley, a serene and strategic confluence of two raging rivers. It felt less like a place and more like a gate. The air was palpably thinner, the chill biting through our gear. Lachen, when we reached it as dusk fell, wasn't a town. It was a frontier outpost clinging to the side of a mountain. The buzz in the group that evening was all about conquering the slush and the slides. The boys wore their mud like badges of honor, convinced the big challenge was behind them. I kept my thoughts to myself, sipping hot tea and looking at the invisible peaks black against the night sky. The military knew we were here. The permits said we could go. But the real gatekeeper, the one that would truly test our machines and our metal, was still ahead. The slush was just the handshake. The real conversation with the roof of the world began tomorrow.
There is some ongoing landslide work, so we are stuck here. Been here for about 10 minutes and I think it's going to take another 20 minutes or so. The view is fine. So There's all the landslide. You can see what's happening on the roads. Yeah, bro. I'm getting scared looking at all this shit. Turn it on. వెనక్కి వెళ్తే బెటర్ ఏమో. బ్రేక్ ఏమైనా పట్టుకుందా? బ్రేక్ పట్టుకుందా ఏమైనా? ఒకసారి ఆఫ్ చేసి ఆన్ చేయి.
The boys, flush with yesterday's victory over mud, were buzzing with a caffeine and adrenaline mix. I felt a quieter, sharper focus. The mountains don't care about yesterday's confidence. We fired up the bikes, the roar shattering the Himalayan silence a declaration of intent. The first 15 minutes out of Lachen were deceptively calm. A winding climb through pine-scented darkness, the world slowly turning from black to a deep, velvety blue. And then, the mountains issued their first immediate challenge of the day. The road didn't just get bad, it transformed. It became a wide, shallow river of viscous, chocolate-brown slush, the result of a glacial stream generously overflowing its bank right across our path. This wasn't a puddle, it was a trap. It looked innocent enough from the edge, but the moment a front tire entered, the slush grabbed hold with a surprising, sucking hunger.
कीचड़ है 2 मिनट रुको बोलो. कीचड़ है कीचड़. फ्लश है पूरा फ्लश. गाड़ी उसमें घुस जा रहा है. 2 मिनट रुको बोलो. रुको 1 मिनट. पूरा कीचड़ है कीचड़. अंदर चले जा रहा गाड़ी. ఇటు వేరే రూట్ తీసుకోమంటుందా? దేర్ ఇస్ అనదర్ వే. వేరే దారి ఉందండి. उधर से जा रहे हैं. नहीं जा रहा है क्या? आ जाना. अरे हाँ बुला रहे. अरे అటు రమ్మంటున్నాడా? యా అటు నుంచి రమ్మంటున్నాడు వాళ్ళు. అంతేనా? वो बुला रहे क्या? आप चले जाओ. वॉच. वो गिर गया भैया देखो. सुभाष गाड़ी गिर गया देखो. ना थोड़ा అవును కాదు వాళ్ళు రమ్మన్నారా? వాళ్ళు అగో అక్కడ ఇంకో బ్రిడ్జ్ ఉంది. చాలా సార్ ఆ బ్రిడ్జ్ తీసుకోవాలి. Yeah, that's what he's telling, to come from that side. We'll see that guy is going. Don't మాట్లాడాలి. అదే చెప్తున్నాడు కదా, అగో అక్కడ వాళ్ళు పోతున్నారు. పుషింగ్ ఎందుకు బ్రో? వాళ్ళు ఆ బండికి పుషింగ్, మనకెందుకు పుషింగ్? అవసరం హెల్ప్. Yeah. Sir, we have two options. Either wait for these trucks to go, they'll make a way. వీళ్ళు పోతే దారి అవుతుంది.
లే పోతారు, మళ్ళీ వెనకలు వస్తారు, మళ్ళీ క్లైంబింగ్ అవుట్.
ఎవరు
వీళ్ళు?
అంతేనా? వీళ్ళు కూడా పాస్ నచ్చిపోతారా?
then they come down. Then they go up.
The struggle was instant and collective. The bikes, heavy with us and fuel, wallowed. Rear tires spun, flinging rooster tails of muck, finding no purchase in the liquid earth. Handlebars jerked and wobbled as machines fought for balance. Half our group was immediately in the thick of it, engines screaming in protest, bikes leaning dangerously as they threatened to topple sideways into the mire. This is where a group ride transforms from a convoy into a brotherhood. The ritual began. Riders who had made it through or who were still on solid ground killed their engines and waded into the icy slush, boots instantly submerged. It wasn't about one rider anymore, it was about the unit. We became anchor points, pushing against saddlebags, heaving on handlebars, shouting instructions over the growl of throttles held wide open. Lean left, steady throttle, don't stop. The air filled with the smell of hot engine, churned mud, and cold effort. It was grace, more than skill, that saw each machine through. A fortunate slide, a well-timed shove, a tire miraculously finding a hidden stone. One by one, we wrestled the beamers free, each emergence feeling like a minor miracle, each rider plastered in a new layer of high-altitude filth.
అట్నుంచా నువ్వు వెళ్ళి తీసుకొచ్చేస్తావా? వెళ్ళిపో, తీసుకొచ్చి. నాకు ఇంతకన్నా గుర్రం ఎందుకు? గుర్రమా మా దగ్గర? ఎటు పోతున్నావు నువ్వు? ఆ ముందు నుంచే కదా. ఇద్దరం పోదాం. కీస్ ఇవ్వాలి, కీస్. కీస్ దీంట్లో వేసి నేను ఇట్లా ఎక్కి వచ్చేసేయాలా? మనోడు పోయిండు ఎక్కి.
ఎక్కడ చెప్పు?
అబ్బో బ్రిడ్జ్ కనిపిస్తుంది కదా,
వాక్ టు ద బ్రిడ్జ్.
ఇట్లా ఎక్కాలా? నువ్వు రా, నేను క్లియర్ చేస్తా బాగా. ఏ थोड़ा इधर आ जाओ. I should see him right now. Can you see him? నీకు అన్ని టెక్నిక్స్ బాగా తెలుసు కదా బ్రో. గేర్ సెకండ్ గేర్లో పెట్టాలా, అది చేయాలా. चलने को भी मुश्किल है भाई. सर रोल 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 వెళ్ళండి, వెళ్ళిపోయినాడు మనోడు. థ్రాటిల్ థ్రాటిల్ థ్రాటిల్. థ్రాటిల్ థ్రాటిల్. Wait. Come back. Sir, come back. Come back. Not pushing, come back, roll it.
No. क्या बेचारा वो नीचे जाएगा तो फिर और
Roll. Roll it.
When you find a flat, it's all slushy until the end. Dry on the left.
Don't stop there, roll ante. Traction off చేయాలి actually.
Like you said, there.
Once past that gauntlet, as if rewarding our persistence, the mountains changed their tune. The slush and rubble gave way to something divine. Butter roads, not just smooth tarmac, but ribbons of pristine black asphalt that coiled and flowed over the rising landscape like calligraphy. This was the reward. The engine settled into a smooth purr, the suspension no longer jarring but flowing. We carved through the dawn light, the world opening up around us in spectacular fashion. We entered the Thangu Valley, and it took the breath the altitude hadn't yet claimed. This was high-altitude pastoral poetry. Wide, rolling meadows of alpine grass, still tinged with gold and brown, stretched towards snow-dusted peaks. Small crystal streams braided through the land. Here and there, the true nomads of these heights, shaggy yaks, graze placidly, their lumbering forms and curling horns adding a prehistoric scale to the scene. Their herders, wrapped in thick blankets, would pause and raise a hand, not in surprise, but in a slow, acknowledging salute to fellow travelers in a vast land. The air was so clear it felt like looking through polished glass, every detail on distant peaks sharp and defined. The climb was relentless. The forests were now far below us. Up here, the vegetation was minimalist, stunted shrubs, hardy grasses, and carpets of lichen painting the rocks in oranges and greens. The world became elemental: rock, snow, sky, and the relentless, winding road. The sense of exposure was total. With every switchback, Lachen vanished further into the deep valley below, a toy town. The silence, when we stopped to let the engines cool and our hearts catch up, was profound. It was a ringing, absolute quiet, broken only by the wind whipping across the rocks, a wind that carried the ice of the glaciers it had just crossed. And then a strange and powerful nostalgia hit me. This terrain, the stark, brown, rocky slopes, the blinding white of distant snowfields, the impossible blue of the sky, the sheer, brutal scale of emptiness, it felt viscerally familiar. It felt like Ladakh. Of course it did. This wasn't just a similar mountain range. This was the same great crumpled spine of the planet, the mighty Himalayas, just wearing a slightly different eastern face. The same forces that shaped the Nubra and Gangtok were at work here. Tectonic upheaval, glacial carving, and a wind that had forgotten the meaning of gentleness. The feeling was one of deep continuity. We were on a different pilgrimage road, but in the same cathedral.
Congratulations, bro. Tallest lake in the world. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Congratulations, bro. Tallest in the
Gurudongmar Lake. It is not what you expect. In photos, it is a stunning turquoise. In person, under the relentless Himalayan sun, it is a searing, almost electric blue, a shard of fallen sky cradled in a brutal, rocky bowl. Snowfields cling to its edges, feeding it. Prayer flags, whipped to tatters by the relentless wind, crack like gunfire on stands of stone, their bright colors a shocking defiance against the monochrome. The scale is hard to comprehend. The lake is vast, and the peaks surrounding it are giants, their slopes soaring upwards in sheer faces that make you feel infinitesimally small. You kill the engine, and the world becomes that wind and the pounding of your own heart in your ears, the struggle of the slush, the beauty of Tangu, the long, winding climb. It all converges into this single silent point. You have not conquered this place, you have been allowed to visit it. The fury and the calm of the journey, the brotherhood in the muck, the solitary focus on the butter roads. It was all the price of admission to this profound, silent temple of rock and ice. You stand there on the shores of a lake that feels more like a portal, and you understand. This is why you ride. For moments that are not just seen, but felt in your very bones. The descent awaited, the return to thicker air. But for now, there was only the wind, the sky, and the magnificent, frozen stillness of 17,800 feet. They say in the mountains you pay for your views. After Gurudongmar, we thought our account was settled. But the Himalayas keep a different ledger. Today, the currency wasn't thin air or slush, it was water. A cold, persistent, thin rain that fell not in drops but in a mist that soaked through everything. The road out of Lachung was a tunnel through a dream. The forests were unreal, dense, dripping cathedrals of fir and rhododendron, every needle and leaf gleaming emerald under the low grey sky. The air smelled of wet pine and damp earth. It was beautiful in a haunting silent film way. But beauty here is rarely just a spectator sport. The climb began and the fight started. The thin rain was a merciless opponent. It coated the visor in a film that the wiper just smeared. Look left to admire a waterfall now swollen and furious, and your breath would fog the inside, turning the world into a white blur. The choice was a cruel one, a blinded silent ride, or a visor cracked open to let in the piercing ice needle rain directly on your face. We chose the needles. The cold was instant and shocking. 1,000 tiny stings, but at least we could see the next hairpin, the next truck looming out of the gloom. This was the raw, unglamorous work of riding in the high mountains. No sweeping drone shots, just the gritty close-up. A gloved hand wiping a visor, the shudder of a bike over wet gravel, the constant low-grade battle against the elements. We were earning every meter. And for what? We crested the final rise into Yumthang Valley, the famed Valley of Flowers. Through the rain and mist, we could sense the scale, the vast rolling meadow, the protective ring of peaks. But the flowers were ghosts, the colors washed to grey and green. The magic was sleeping, tucked under a wet blanket, and the road pushed further upward towards 0 point, the end of the line. The gravel turned to slick mud, the visibility dropped, and then we saw it. Not the stunning snowfields, but a snake of red brake lights, a traffic jam, 100 tourist jeeps and trucks, a line of humanity stretching around the final bends, all here at 15,000 feet in the freezing rain for the same photo. The frontier feeling vanished. The sacred silence was replaced by the honking of impatient drivers and the chatter of crowds. We had fought the fog, endured the piercing rain, wrestled the bikes up the slick track for this. A crowded car park in the clouds. We looked at each other, water streaming from our helmets. There was no discussion. The real 0 point, the feeling of standing at the edge of the map, wasn't here today. It had been stolen by the weather and the crowd. Sometimes the wisest move on a bike is not to push forward, but to turn around. So we did. We pointed our wheels downhill, back into the misty, beautiful, forgiving tunnel of the forest. The descent was quiet. The battle was over. We hadn't conquered the point on the map, but we'd learned a different lesson. That the soul of a place isn't always at the marked destination. Sometimes it's in the struggle of the ride itself, in the shared, silent understanding between soaked riders that today the mountain won. And that was okay. The road back to Lachung felt less like a retreat and more like a return to sense. The real view wasn't at the crowded top. It was in the dignity of knowing when to turn back and owning the rain-soaked, beautiful journey that brought you there. The rain had its say. It washed the dust from our bikes and the bravado from our bones, leaving everything clean and clear. And as if in apology, the mountains gifted us a morning of impossible perfection. Daybreak in Gangtok was not a gradual light, but an explosion of gold. The sky was a dome of flawless blue, the air crisp and sharp as a diamond. We looked at each other, grinning through the last of our exhaustion. We could feel it in the sun on our jackets. The tour was turning. We were no longer pushing deeper into the unknown. We were now riding a grand closing arc, heading for the most legendary names on the map, the old Silk Route, Nathula Pass, and the mythical loops of Zuluk. Leaving Lachung felt like the first page of the final chapter. After the trials of rain and altitude, the mountains offered a peaceful morning. The sun was out, sharp and generous, turning the valley into a glittering postcard. The same slushy stretches that had been treacherous challenges just days before were now familiar. We navigated them not with tense uncertainty, but with a quiet, earned rhythm, a nod to the obstacles we'd already conquered. It was a rite of reflection. Each corner, each waterfall we passed, now held a memory. The river that had seemed furious before now flowed with a calming familiarity. We were no longer strangers in this landscape. We were parting guests, saying a slow, sun-drenched goodbye to the raw beauty of the north. The road unfurled beneath us, leading us steadily away from the remote frontier and back towards the world. We were riding the story of our own journey in reverse, every kilometer taking us closer to where it all began, but with the mountains now forever a part of us. Just one last rain before our night at Taj. The climb to the roof of Sikkim began in a cloud, not metaphorically, literally. As we left Gangtok for the Silk Route, the world dissolved into a dense, luminous white. We were riding inside the weather, the mist swallowing the road just meters ahead. The beams from our headlights cut through the fog, creating a tunnel of light in a world of pure opacity. It was silent, surreal, and strangely peaceful. Just the hum of the engine and the damp kiss of the cloud on our visors. We weren't on a road anymore. We were navigating a dreamscape, climbing blind towards a legend. Then the mist thinned, not to reveal a vista, but to reveal a line, a serpent of brake lights and idling engines. The dream snapped into a chaotic, jarring reality. Nathula Pass. The crowd was immense, a tidal wave of humanity that felt utterly alien after the silent communion of the cloud ride. It was a carnival at 14,000 feet, a roar of chatter, blaring jeep horns, and the frantic energy of 1,000 tourists, all fighting for the same photograph with the border gate. Soldiers moved with weary efficiency through the throng. The mythic, windswept pass of history books was buried under a crush of selfie sticks and winter coats. We did what riders do in a sea of people. We became ghosts. We parked in the chaos, absorbed the bizarre spectacle for a moment, the flags straining in the thin, cold wind, the stern faces of the soldiers, the sheer, surreal contrast to the empty mist we'd just ridden through. There was no solemnity to be found here today, so we made a quiet pact, fired up the bikes, and threaded our way back out of the human current. We touched the icon, but we didn't stay. Our sanctuary, we knew, wasn't in this crowded checkpoint. It was waiting for us, further along the ancient road, in the silent coiled embrace of the Zuluk Loops. The last morning in Zuluk felt like the mountains were reluctant to let us go. A clinging mist, a steady drizzle, and the familiar, slick sheen of mud on the roads, one final, damp goodbye. We rode out in a world of soft edges and grey light, the legendary loops hidden behind a veil. But Sikkim, in its infinite mood swings, had one more act of grace. As we began the long, winding descent from the cloud layer, the rain stopped. The mist began to tear apart, revealing breathtaking, parting glimpses of the valleys below, as if the land itself was offering us a clear view to remember it by. The descent was smooth, a flowing reversal of our climb, each lower altitude bringing warmer air and greener views. But the adventure wasn't done with us yet. In a twist of perfect synchronicity, it was Sikkim's statehood day. Roads were being prepared, security was tightening. The Prime Minister was scheduled to visit. Our two-wheeled nimbleness became our salvation. We weaved through the growing buzz, but our backup van, our mobile base camp, carrying all our luggage, wasn't so lucky. It was swallowed by the impending security gridlock, stuck somewhere far behind us. The clock was ticking. Our flight home wasn't waiting. In a frantic final pit stop, we loaded the faithful bikes onto the transport truck, sending them on the slow journey back. Then we waited, minutes feeling like hours. Just as the anxiety peaked, the van arrived, dust flying. A frenzied collective effort, luggage transferred, goodbyes shouted over idling engines. We made it to Bagdogra with just enough time, the strange chaos of a state celebration buzzing around us. And so, the tour ended as it began. With the separation of man and machine, we flew home first class, the immense quiet of the cabin a stark contrast to the roar of the past 10 days. Our bodies were heading for comfort, but our minds were still on those hairpins, in that thin air, riding the soul of Sikkim. Our steel steeds would follow, rumbling home on a truck, carrying the mud of the mountains as their own souvenir. The journey was over, but the ride, in our heads and hearts, would never really end.
ठीक है, दे देता हूँ, टेंशन मत लो. 600 ले लो, 600. Boys have lost all the josh. Modi has come in this area, so our backup vehicle is stuck somewhere else and we are somewhere else. Our flight is in the evening. It's a funny situation. This ride has taken toll on us in every possible way you can imagine. Hey Ducati boy, how you doing? The BMW Motorrad boys are going to get in the tuk-tuk rickshaw electric wala. How is your experience with BMW Motorrad Sikkim ride?
Amazing.
Can you say a few more words? How is the tuk-tuk experience now?
आपका latest है एक minute.
Too epic.
Thank you, sir.
Love the entire experience. Over to Captain.
Captain, how are you feeling?
You talking to me?